I'm going to share with you today 5 common reasons why people stay in toxic relationships. Now, there can be thousands of reasons why a person stays, and they are each individual and personal to each situation. But I will share with you 5 common things that I see. Number 1, it's because it's familiar. It feels like home. It's what they know. Perhaps they saw that sort of environment growing up, and it was normal to them to be treated in a certain way. The relationship dynamic may be similar to that of what they saw between their own parents, or the way they were treated, or people in their family. This is just the way it is. Number 2, they don't believe they deserve any better than that. They have low self-esteem, and because it's what they've already seen, they think, if this is what happens to others, this must be what happens to me. I deserve it. Generally, they can take more of their share of the blame in any given situation if their self-esteem is really low. If they're in a relationship with somebody who's toxic or narcissistic, they'll be told that it is their fault and that they deserve it. And their confidence is not high enough to dispute that. Number 3, the past can stop them. In an Amanda Marshall song that I love, she talks about how this woman who's leaving her toxic relationship remembers well the man that she knew. And that is sometimes the problem. The past prevents you from doing anything in the future because you're so focused on who that person was that you loved, that person that you fell in love with, the one who was so good to you. And in terms of narcissism, at the beginning of a relationship, they do what we call love bombing. So they're like the best dream of anything you could imagine. Sometimes the person has taken you out of an abusive situation and they have been your protector, your knight in shining armor, and you just can't imagine that they've changed their role, that they could be anything other than loving and protective of you. You can't change that vision or image that you have of them in your head. And so the past that you had with them keeps you stuck in the present. The 4th one is the future. So your past can keep you stuck. Your future can keep you stuck. And that, what I mean when I say that, is the future that you imagined you were going to have with this person. Sometimes we are more attached and in contact with the dream that we have than with the reality that is. We mark somebody on potential. We say, but I know that they have the ability to be so much better. I've seen that they were so much better, or I know they're a good person and they don't mean whatever. I can foresee that we're going to get over this and that we're going to live happily ever after. So once again, that fairy tale thinking, in the past of the knight in shining armor, and in the future of, happily ever after, can keep you stuck so that you do nothing in the present to protect yourself while you wait for that future that never comes. But time does go by, and the future does eventually arrive, but it will look very different than what you want. It will likely look a lot like what you have right now, because that is the best predictor of future behavior is past behavior. The 5th one of why I see sometimes people stay stuck in toxic relationships is because they seek the wrong counsel. In a nutshell, they get bad advice. If you're in a relationship with somebody who's toxic and you don't have a lot of friends around you who have healthy relationships with healthy boundaries, with a good amount of confidence and self-esteem, they are likely going to tell you to stay. They will not encourage you to go and do anything different because they're not doing anything different. A person will likely not give you any better advice than what they give themselves. If they are in unhappy relationships, they've probably talked themselves out of leaving. They've told themselves it's not nice, it's too difficult, I won't find anybody else, what will I do? And so they have decided to stay. They're unhappy, but they've decided to stay. And then you come along and you say, I'm thinking of leaving my toxic relationship, what should I do? What advice are they going to give you? They're going to tell you all the reasons why you shouldn't go, all the reasons why you have to stay, because this is the argument that is predominant in their own minds. It is the advice that they have settled for themselves, but you do not have to settle for that advice. If you can relate to these 5 things, you're likely at a fork in the road. I happen to be a person who believes in helping people to transition, a transition agent, if you will. And for people who are critical thinkers, who overthink and who feel stuck, they're in paralysis. You're in the present moment, but you're not really, and you don't know how to move forward. And I empathize with you. As a person, I have had to move past toxic relationships myself, and I know it's not easy, but I can guarantee you it is worth it, and you will be glad that you did. But you probably need some support. Just know that there is no shame in asking for help and getting proper help from a person perhaps who's already been there and done that and who's living a more authentic existence, perhaps the kind that you want. Feel free to reach out. If not to me, to somebody else. You deserve to have better than toxic treatment. And I hope one day you'll come to realize that. I'm wishing you all the best.